Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to show you how I painted this portrait of Galadriel from The Lord of the Rings. This is from a screen cap from the Fellowship of the Ring. And let's get into it. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that a lot of the time when I do portraits like this, I do sort of like, I don't know a name for it. I like to think of it as like the connect the dots method, where like I just do a dot or a line in any like important place, like where two places meet, or like where the pupils are, where the darkest parts are, like the nostrils, or like the line between the lips or whatever, and then I sort of connect them in my sketch later. But I also had someone in chat, because this was done on stream, most of it anyway, some of it was done off stream, and I will switch between screen recordings and the stream VOD footage. But yeah, so someone on stream asked if I could explain what the grid method is, so I actually went on to Procreate, and all I did on Procreate was turn on the draw assist and create a grid and just trace the grid, and then I saved that as a transparent PNG so that I could lay it onto this canvas and then make a sketch using that and my reference image. So I kind of did a combination of the two styles this time, and then I just got to painting. So I like to work piece by piece, because I find if I lay like one base layer of a color, like for example just all across the face, usually it looks very different on one side of the face versus the other side of the face. So by the end of it, I'm basically just covering everything up anyway. So I like to think of little sections at a time and then render those first, and then later on we will zoom out all the way so we can see everything at once and then sort of make things more cohesive. The tricky thing about doing it this way is if you zoom in a lot, it can be a little too easy to make your brush really small and like work on fine details before more general broad shapes, and that can lead to like a not so natural looking painting, which I can't say that didn't happen at all here, but I did keep checking myself, zooming out and then being like, okay, I need to make my brush bigger, why is it so small? And it, I think, worked out in the end. So I have explained this in previous videos, but I do use the color picker a lot when I do digital painting, but not how you might think, not just taking the color and using it exactly as it is, for a few different reasons. One, it just always looks really flat. If you're painting from photos, it tends to look really, really flat if you just take it like that. Some things just don't translate particularly well into painting versus photographs. Also, I think if you're trying to study and build your skills and learn about color theory and mixing, then obviously you don't want to just take a color that was picked for you. So basically, if you can see my brush settings, I change those constantly, absolutely constantly, and you can see I'm also changing the colors constantly as well. I don't think you can see where I'm dragging, but if you can see those bars going sort of up and down, that's me picking a color and then changing the saturation and also the value. I don't usually touch that bottom bar there with like the starts at red and then goes down to purple, because that's basically what I'm doing with the color picker, is I'm limiting my palette just a little bit. That's basically all I'm doing with the color picker, is that I'm choosing a section, I'm limiting my palette a bit so that I can choose what I want faster, but because I have different mixing settings set up with my brush, and I'm also manually changing the values and the saturation, I have more control over how I'm mixing my colors. I use two different brushes here. One is the default watercolor soft brush that has been just changed a little bit to change the opacity a little bit, but also the color mixing is all the way up and the color load is all the way down, and I use that as my mixing brush. I think that's the Watercolor Soft Wet, and then the other watercolor brush is what I use to lay down a majority of my color, though I do sometimes, you still do get some color with my quote-unquote mix brush. And I found that this brush in particular is just not available on the PC version of MediBang Paint, so that's the reason why I'm painting this on my iPad, because I just have not figured out how to create a brush in the PC version that I like to use to mix quite as much. Not that I need everything perfectly smooth, because if I make everything perfectly smooth, she's just going to look like a mannequin or something, but you know, to blend certain colors and mix certain colors and soften edges. I especially don't want any particularly hard edges here, even for like really dark areas like in her eyes. I actually went later and softened it up quite a bit just because she looks like she's kind of glowing here, and I wanted to maintain that. I will say, especially because we're getting to this part where like the jaw is like fully formed, I had it off. I don't know if I like miscounted the squares in the grid or what I did, but her jaw is the wrong shape for a while. But I do go back in and fix it. You'll see me later on just take the reference image and like put it behind my painting briefly just to see what the difference is, and then I'm like, oh okay, the angle of her jaw is completely different. Her face just looks so wide, or like really the features of her face looked so small for so long, and I was like, what is wrong with this? Until finally I just laid my painting on top of the reference image and I was like, oh, I can see now. And then, you know, we fixed it at that point. So if you're thinking, why does her face look so wide or her eyes so small? Hopefully by the end you'll agree that they don't look so bad. But yeah, we're just going in. Normally I would do both eyes first and then go to the nose and the nostrils, because those 3 points, that sort of triangle, have the darkest values usually of most portraits. So like the pupils of the eyes, and also especially if it's a woman who's wearing makeup, the lash line tends to have darker colors for definition, right? Whether it's a black eyeliner or even like a dark brown eyeshadow or something. And then the nostrils also have the darkest values as well, because they're the most in shade. And then also, just to like keep track of where everything is, I do tend to go into the mouth after that and sort of at least work on that line in the middle. But basically I just went for the nose because I felt like I needed to know where everything went, and that was a little bit more like in the center. And then the nose wasn't looking like a good nose for a while. But we got there eventually, and that's when I decided to do the other eye. So a little bit different than my usual process, but not that much. And then at this point, we're just finishing rendering off the face, trying to sort of push back areas that are deeper, and then bring out areas, build up areas that are lighter, like the tops of her cheekbones and right under her eyes and things like that, and sort of hollow out her cheeks a little bit because she's got quite high cheekbones. And the lips, especially around the lips, trying to make it look like they're 3D without giving her a mustache. That's a bit of a challenge, but I think we did it. I did go back, of course, in most of these areas and refine things a bit more, because like I said, usually I don't like to just zoom into one spot and focus on that because it doesn't look very cohesive. I just sort of render it out and then eventually go back and tweak it to make sure it all looks good. But you'll see a lot of zooming in and zooming out and zooming in and zooming out, and that's just to make sure everything's looking right. Everything is in proportion with everything else, that the colors are looking right, that we know where the light's coming from, and that's why I'm bringing out her chin a little bit. With, you know, the higher something is, the more it catches the light, right? So generally we want to build up things with lighter tones, lighter values, and then push back things with darker values. And there's quite dark shadows. Her hair kind of like, you don't really know in this photo where her hair starts and stops, and like where her neck stops, where her hair begins. And I really liked that sort of like contrast between the lightest parts of her face and then the deepest parts around her neck. So I tried, that's part of the reason why I chose this reference image anyway. I just thought it was really interesting and very blue. It's so blue, so it was throwing me off a little bit, but that is one reason why the color picker is really useful, because I kept getting like here's very green, like a sea foam kind of color, and here's like a yellowy green, and then at other points, like on her skin, it's really interesting because it turns extra purple, like you maybe just saw there. The skin is super purple, but that's because she's a human and her blood is red. Well, she's an elf here, but Kate is a human, and she has red blood, and the lighting is so blue, or the filter is so blue, who knows what the original lighting looked like, that when you mix the blue and the red, it becomes very purple. So if I were to try a portrait like this again, maybe something from the same scene, maybe I'll try Celeborn next, then if I were to do it traditionally and I didn't have the option of a color picker, now I would know. I would choose really purpley tones for the skin, and then for the blonde hair, because yellow mixed with blue creates green, we're making green hair. And it doesn't look green when you just look at it. It looks green when you choose the color picker, but when it's next to everything else, it just makes sense. Color theory, man. That's color theory. And yeah, at this point, we're working on the hair, just trying to make it not look like blobs. And I was trying to fix the chin a little bit here. I don't know if this is the point where I made it look normal, but I think we're almost there. We're almost there. And again, just blending out like where the hair ends and where the neck starts, because we want it really, really soft there. It's like impossible to tell where one stops and the other starts. And then again, just bringing out like the bits of hair that come out more or like are more separate from other pieces are lighter. They catch more light, and hairs that are like closer together and obviously further behind are a lot darker. And so I'm mixing values constantly because hair is very textured, and you know, you get some pieces of hair on top of other pieces of hair, which means you have varying different values in terms of shadow. In terms of color, it didn't change very much, but often I would color pick from other parts of the hair rather than just the section I was working on, because one, this watercolor brush just mixes a lot anyway, and I didn't have the opacity up all the way, but two, especially when the mixing level was high, things would go on later, because it was mixing. Like if I would put a shadow down, the shadow would not be as deep as I wanted it. Oh, this is where I softened up the eye quite a bit because it just looked too intense. I don't know, it didn't look natural. Oh, and this eye too, I forgot the eyelid was like really bugging me. It looks like plastic or something. It was not glowy enough. I don't know, I need to blur it out a little bit. Not really blur, but soften. But yeah, so I had to constantly change the value to be a little darker, and I also upped the saturation a bit each time as well, so that the shadows were actually visible. And then we were sort of defining the ear here. They were kind of just blobs, and I had to decide what kind of shape I wanted. Did I want it the exact same shape as what we see in the movie, or do I want to make them a little different? And I think I changed the shape just a little bit so that they're a little more upturned, and I just thought it was a bit cuter. This is where I decided I'm not going to go with the headpiece. I just want to see her hair. I want to see her face, and I don't want to draw attention from that with a shiny bit of metal in the middle of her forehead. But that meant I had to decide what her hairline looked like there, and like where the transition was from that very dark part to the much lighter part on the left side. And I think I did it. I kept going back and changing it. And then here I was just using the mix brush again with sort of like a in-between shade, just to soften out everything so you wouldn't see such strong paint strokes. And this is where we're adding the final details of like the strands of hair that really caught the light. And so I went in with a very fine brush and then with the mix brush again, just to soften up basically the origin of these things so they don't look like super stark. And here I wanted to add a little bit more depth, and at first I couldn't tell if it just looked dirty or if we were actually deepening the shadows. I took like a sort of bluish purpley shade and did multiply it first, but then I changed it to, I think, color burn, and it warmed it up a bit and I liked it. So we kept it like that at a low opacity, or yeah, just the layer I made a low opacity. Then I had to sign it, so I made my signature nice and big because it's hard to write small. I used the transform tool to make it smaller and line it up where I wanted it. It was also not exactly straight, so I fixed that as much as I could. And then I lowered the opacity so that it wasn't so stark, and we were done. We were done. This is Galadriel. Do you like her? How do you feel? I like it. I think it was a nice study, a nice way to learn how to do things. And I'm excited to paint more Lord of the Rings characters later. We're thinking Gandalf the White has to be next, but we'll see. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Please subscribe if you haven't already so you can get more videos like this in the future. And I also live stream 3 days a week, and I'd love to see you there. So yeah, bye!